Edna Elias. I'm Inuinnaq from Western Nunavut, community of Qoloktok, formerly known as Copper Mine, but we reclaimed the original place name, Qoloktok. I went to Inuvik 3 times, not consecutively. I stayed in the Anglican residence of Stringer Hall, and by day attended the schools, Sir Alexander Mackenzie School, and that's in Inuvik, Northwest Territories. You were taken away from your parents, from your homeland, from everything you knew, your whole being, your identity was taken away and everything. And we live by pretty rigid rules, regimented rules every day, same procedure day after day. And we prayed so much. I'd never prayed before in my life as a child. And prayer was and attending chapel was such a daily routine that was very foreign to us. Foreign foods. There's no love and affection in residential school. No hugs and kisses, good night, ding, 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 ding. You get up, you wash up, you go for breakfast, go to do your chores, you go to school, come back for lunch, just day in, day out, with no signs of affection, no hugs, no loving words, no parents to wrap your arms around you. And so it was very cold. We're lucky that we had, a few friends, maybe a cousin or 2 or a sibling. Even if you had a brother, let's say in the same residence, you very rarely saw or got to interact with your brother, because they were in the boys' wing of the residence. I would be in the girls' wing. You might interact during the 5-minute walk to school and back. So it was really tough, really tough. Whereas day school, I went to day school in Ulukhaktok. At the time it was known as Holman Island. And while I was in residential school in Inuvik on my 3rd year, which happened to be my last year, my parents had moved to Holman because my dad landed a job with the government of the day. And so I had my day schooling there, grade 6, which was great because I got to get up in my own bed every morning. I got to smell breakfast that Mom was making. I got to put on clothes of my choice. And in the winter, there was always warm, new clothing for us every fall. And you could always smell fresh bread. Most days when you come home from school, it was just a home. And everything that comes with living at home. Mom playing music, she's sitting there sewing or whatever, and Dad would pop in, and it's just a happy family. All the kids are there, and we got to eat familiar foods. We did our chores, but we were always children. We got to play, we got to have fun. We learned from my mom, from my aunts, certain skills. You're always observing, and then you try. Observe and, practice. You're honing your traditional skills, even if it's simple as learning how to make bannock, how to fillet a fish, to make dry fish. We got to continue our life as a Inuk, and all that you had to learn. And with that new skill that you're learning, it's a new set of Inuinnaqtut vocabulary that comes with it. So it's steady learning, culture, language merged, webbed together. I used to write letters to my dad, because my dad could read and write. He went to residential school, to grade 4. And he used to brag to us teasingly and say he graduated at grade 4. And so I used to write letters to him, just letting him know how things weren't long letters, just, missing home and how are you folks, and I'm fine, and these are my friends. And of course I got to ask him for little bit of money. He obviously would answer because I would get a call from administration once in a blue moon saying I got mail from back home. But by the time I got the envelope, it was always open, torn open, and then retaped. So obviously it seems like they were reading our mail, and only a $5 bill was in the envelope all the time. But, you know, so Dad obviously sent something. I thought he didn't write to me or anything. My little brain got thinking, maybe if I wrote to Mom, I might get something. But she didn't read and write English. That was a challenge. She never went to residential school. None of her siblings went to residential school. And so I made my best effort. And it wasn't easy because I'm hearing Inuit-Naktut, my language, and I know the sounds, but I'd never seen it written. And trying to use the English alphabet for two different sounding languages. But anyway, it took me about 2.5, 3 days maybe to write a letter. Maybe just half a page, 3/4 of a page. And when I was finally happy with it and I could read it, I was so proud of myself. I thought, well, Mom should be able to read that. And I would wait for my name to be called to say you got mail. And nada, nothing. I thought, I guess I'm not going to get mail. Until one day, I got an announcement again on the PA system. You know, they're announcing who has mail. And my name got called. So I rushed down to administration, and right away I recognized my mom's writing on the envelope. I was so happy. It took me just as long to read it as it took me to write it. Because then now I got to decipher the real Inuit-Naktut sounds the way she wrote it. And she just uses all uppercase, you know, like no periods and all that. So it seems like one big long sentence the way my educated mind was thinking. And but I deciphered it, and that made my day. I came to the realization that learning to be able to write and read Inuit-Naktut, speak it, was going to be critical. Because Mom, to communicate with her, I'd have to be able to do that. And all my aunts, because they didn't go to school either, you know. And so, yeah, I came to the realization that it was important to keep both languages.